Okay, so good evening and welcome to Step into 2021. I know that for some of you it's the morning, so hi, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, good evening. And yeah, if it's 3 a.m., I'm very, very sorry, but thanks for joining us today. So if you are listening to the recording, then it would be great to hear from you at some point. So today's session is about stepping into 2021. So we had no idea what 2020 was going to look like. Some people came out of it feeling great. Some people came out of it with some difficulties and challenges. Some came out really scathed with war wounds. But I want to use what you've learned from last year, what you've learned about yourself, to see what you can do to really get some energy and some hope and optimism to step into 2021 and also achieve what you want to do throughout the year. So I'm going to share some of what I've either done or some of the stuff I've worked with when I work with my clients on how they really engage with setting up action steps, goals, etc. And more than that, I want to share some of the things you can do to really help you live more of a, I don't know, calming life in this time that we're living in with all the worries, etc. So, if you don't know who I am, my name is Rosemary Wilson. I'm one of the consuls for Internations for two groups, the Londoners of All Nations and the London Inspired Women's Group. That's me. My background is outside of Internations is I am the founder of Pragmatica Coaching, which is a coaching and training company. I work one-to-one mainly with women and some men to help them thrive in what they do or take the next step in their career. And I also work with organizations who are committed to investing in and nurturing the talent within their organization whilst supporting a culture of diversity and belonging. So that's very, very important to me. So inclusivity is really, really important to me, obviously, because I am a woman and I'm a Black woman. Very important. But I think there needs to be space made for all groups in the world, and we should all have time, create time to listen to other voices wherever you live, whatever platform you're on. That's just a little bit about me. If you're on LinkedIn and you're interested in seeing what I do, learning about what I'm teaching or educating, then use the QR code there. You can use your phone and just use your camera to snap the QR code, and that will take you to my profile if you're on LinkedIn and you'd like to stay in touch with me. But I'll also give you another way to get in touch with me at the end. Enough about me. So here's out to you. What would you like to get out of the session? So obviously the title is Step into 2021, but maybe you've heard from me before. Maybe you've got an idea of you want to do something different this year. So what would you like to get from me from this session today? Just pop it in the chat box and let me hear. You don't have to have a reason. You could just say, I just want to listen to something. I just want to hear your voice. I just want to say hi. It could be, I want to connect with other women. Well, there might be some men here. Sorry, men. Just let me know what you'd like to get out of the session. I just got to realize I'm not only talking to women. So what's your thing today? What would you like to get out of today's session? Help me know you. Okay, ways to find more balance at home around the pandemic and also to connect with others. Well-being tips, okay, wonderful. Connecting, joy, share, wonderful. Tips on well-being. Curiosity that brought you in, okay, hi Nikki. Curiosity, you wanted to know what we're about. Thank you. All right, so hopefully I will be able to share some tips for you. Always open on sources of inspiration. Well, hopefully I will also inspire you as well as perhaps teaching you something or sharing something with you, or maybe you'll share something with me that I don't know. So I'm going to switch off the chat box just for now and also hide yeah. Oh, let me see what else is there. Always open, perseverance. Oh, okay. I'm really sorry to hear that. Lost my job and it's challenging. So yeah. All right. Well, hopefully I can share some tips for you to help you see what you could do differently. You're always very special. Food for thought. Thank you, Romina. Wonderful. Okay, so the aim of the session is about mindset focus. I'm a big fan of your energy goes where your focus flows. I'm a big fan of that. So we're going to be talking about mindset focus. Where does your mind often go to? I'm going to be sharing with you the KIT method. This is a method that I use when working with women one-to-one. What does that mean? What is the KIT method? I'm going to be asking you some questions so you can use them for self-reflection and what you can do differently. So I have a big toolbox of questions and methodologies, but you know yourself better than anyone else. So I'm going to be asking you some questions so you can get to understand yourself. And if you need to take action doing something differently, so I forget the name, you said perseverance, maybe I can help you think differently about your situation. And I know that losing a job is huge, but what can we do to help you find a new job or focus on, taking action to help you find a new job or a different perspective? And then lastly, we'll go into the Q&A session where I'll stop the recording and we can have an open discussion. I'm due to finish at 8, but I'm happy to go on. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to keep it rigid. And it will be interactive. I will ask you some questions and I will try not to speak too quickly so that you can absorb everything I say. I do recommend, if you've got a piece of paper and a pen, or if you've got your phone or an iPad nearby, that you write down some of the questions I ask, or take a picture of the screen so that you can go away and do some of the work or the suggested work that I'm going to share with you. So mindset. So what is your mind? What does your mind look like right now? What are you thinking about 2021? What is your focus for 2021? Is there something that you want to do? Is there something you want to achieve? Do you just want to get through it? And when I say what is your focus, and when you think about it, then where is your focus? So you might say, I want to have a wonderful, fantastic 2021, but your focus is on how bad it is. So what is your focus and where is your focus? Are the two in alignment? Hopefully that makes sense and for you. So what is your focus and where is your focus? And as I said, your energy goes where your focus flows, or your focus goes where your energy flows. Either way, interchangeable. So it's up to you. Because if you say you want one thing, but you keep concentrating on the thing that you don't want, that's what you're going to get. That's what's going to come to your door time and time again. So what is your focus and where is your focus? Anyone want to share something with me? And does that make sense? Yeah, focusing more on the now. So yeah, some of your mindfulness practices will really come into play there, Angelique, for sure. Practicing what you preach and what you teach. Photography, flow, traveling in Belgium, Asia in the future, creativity. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you, Linda. Wellness, mentally and physically. Now, are you focused on those things, both of those? I'm from Asia and like to stay in Europe and travel. So are you making sure that the steps you're taking help you to reach those goals? So it's a question for you. So that's something you can explore. Write it down. Is it that your focus, are you focusing on where you want to go, or are you finding your mind drifting to all the areas that you actually don't want to go? So have a think about that and start thinking about what you can do differently. Oops. Right, wonderful, Linda. Your focus, yeah. The way you wrote out what you wanted sounds very clear and decisive. I want to become more focused on one task I'm doing, but my focus is easily distracted. Okay, well, I'm going to share some more tips depending on what you're distracted by. So, what is the KIT method? I mentioned that earlier. So, when a client comes to me, usually there's all this stuff going on in their head. They come to me and they say, I want X. And then I start to explore with them. I get to know them to understand, what does X mean to them? What does that goal mean to them? Is it what they really want? So I get to know them, and I get to know them in a way that they probably have never ever known themselves as well. So the questions I ask help me to get to know them, to help them. So you could come to me with a bunch of really crazy, well, I can't call them crazy, but really thoughts that are going around that making you feel like you don't know which direction to go in. And the way I work is I tease everything out. So people say, oh, I'm rambling here, but that rambling helps me to know what your thought processes are and what's going on for you. And then from there, I interpret what you say, and that really brings clarity. So I then identify different areas of where the change needs to happen, what direction you want to go in. So it really bottoms that out. And then I provide tools, techniques, and most importantly, tasks to help you go in the direction you want to go. So today I'm going to share with you no. So I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself, and then I'm going to help you to identify. I'm not going to do interpret with you because that's up to me to tease it out of you, but I'm going to help you to know, identify. I'm going to share a couple of tools and techniques, and I'm going to give you a task at the end to go away and help yourself, and hopefully it will help some of you. So knowing you, so these questions are for you right now. What do you want? So for those of you who are very clear and taking steps in that direction, that is absolutely wonderful. Is there any room for improvement? For those of you who are not sure or struggling a little bit, feeling challenged, write down what it is you want and make it as specific as possible. I'm not going to go into SMART goals. Hopefully you know what a SMART goal is: specific, measurable, action oriented, relevant, and time bound, for instance. I want you to explore what it is that you want. What is your objective for 2021? Is it one? Do you want one thing, two things, three things? I do recommend that you whittle it down to at least one and then build on that. What is important to you? So these are the questions I'd like you to go away and answer in your own time, because we don't have time to have this kind of workshop session. So what is important to you? So what is it you want? What's your goal or objective? What is important to you? What do you value? It can be anything around finances, security, health, well-being. What's important to you? Your children. What are you afraid of? That is very, very powerful and must be included in knowing yourself. What action do you need to take? So to get you to your objective, to get you to your goal, what action do you need to take? And what is the first step in your action plan? So what do you want? What's important to you? What are you afraid of? What action do you need to take? And what is the first step? And that sets out a simple framework for you to get to understand yourself better. Simple framework. We're not overcomplicating it. We're not over analyzing it. Don't bring in my mum did this, my dad did this when I was small. Let's just start with the here and now with those 5 questions. Get to know yourself. And I really want to hear how you get on, not obviously today, but at some point. It'd be really wonderful to hear from one or two of you if this works for you, doing it on your own. That's really, really quite a key. So the second piece of in the process of identify for you is you use the responses from knowing yourself to understand yourself more, to understand what makes you tick. Where are you falling down maybe with your distractions, for instance? That I think, I don't know who said that, your distraction. Where are you getting distracted? Where do you lose your focus? Why do you not have balance in your life? What is it that is stopping you from gaining that balance? So write that down, get to understand yourself better. So you start crystallizing your action plan. That's what we're looking for, some steps to take to help you feel more calm, more centered, more focused, whatever it is your word is for your goal, more focused on what it is that you say you want. So the responses help you to understand yourself more and gain clarity in what you need to do differently. So out of this will come action steps that you must undertake to do differently, to get somewhere differently. So there's something that you need to tweak or change. And what is the first step? There's always a first step, and you'll see that throughout everything I say. What is your first step? Your first step might be, let me do the first exercises of knowing myself. And then after you do that, and you come out with some more understanding here, more relevance to you. What is your first step here now after this section? So then you start, then you start slowly finding yourself moving forward step by step. Because what happens when we start thinking about the future, that's when we lose the here and now. So these exercises are designed to help you stay right here, right now, understand yourself, and then write down the first step, the next step, the first, what first step in the action plan. And then you start to find things that will help you. So tools, techniques, tasks, they are designed to help you. If you think you can solve the world alone, but you're struggling with that, then you need some other thing to help you, some methodology, some resource, some type of resource, or a continued task to help you. What I do find is that we often try to do things on our own and we don't ask for any help, or we muddle through the resources. We take this online course or we read that book and then we stop. We've read the book, but we don't take any action. And we also don't have any accountability. Like you might tell your partner or a friend, oh, I'm planning to do X or Y. But then after you haven't done X or Y, nobody challenges you and you don't challenge yourself. So it's really important to find tools, techniques, and tasks that help you to stay accountable to what you say that you want, what you say you're going to do. So within that, your tool, technique, or task, you will find your first step. And what is your first? If your first step is to read a book, or perhaps listen to a podcast, or listen to a seminar, or a webinar, that's your first step. Make sure after you take that first step, you take action so that you follow up and you go through with what's going to help you arrive at your goal. So the lady who's looking for a job, you said you've lost your job. So you probably are doing everything that you can to try and find a new job. But are you calling on all the resources around you? Are you investigating your network? Are you checking in with your network? Those sorts of things. So there might be something different you could do. So that's something to add to your personal situation at the moment. But I can hear more from you perhaps at the end of the call, the webinar. So I'm going to now share with you just some tools, techniques, and at the end I will give you a task to do for yourself. So this doesn't work for everyone, but hopefully it will spark some ideas for you. So what I'm going to share now, obviously I couldn't bring my whole toolkit out, so I'm going to share some of the things that you can do to help you gain more balance, or look for a new role, or dream about traveling if you're not already planning it. Whatever you need to do, whatever your goal is, arrive at more peace and fulfillment in your life. Just going to check I just saw something pop up there. Linda, you've got a lot to do there. So radio disturbance, so be in my own world right now, read, laugh. Yeah. Okay, so Linda's got her game plan. You can all talk to Linda afterwards. She can probably give you some tips on what can be done, how you can get away from how you can move towards traveling. That's Linda's thing. Right. So tech. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people being really absorbed in the world of tech, but not necessarily for the greater good. I don't believe tech is a foe. Friend or foe. I don't believe it's a foe, but I do think it's important to be mindful of how we are using it. So there's I can't even remember what it's called now. There's actually a fear of not being with your phone. They've named it. So there are people genuinely struggling, but a lot of people are using their phones to stay in contact with everybody, their family and friends around the globe. So I'm not advocating that you get rid of your tech, but I'm exploring or encouraging you to check your relationship with tech. Are you getting on? Are you hanging out? Is it good? Is it taking you away from things that you're supposed to be doing? Are you getting distracted from your device? Is it constantly pinging, and you're supposed to be doing one thing, and then you end up doing something else because you fall down the rabbit warren? Is it rabbit warren of social media? So, what's your relationship with tech like? Is there something that you could do differently? Can you start changing the way you interact with your device if it is a problem in your life? So here's some of the things that I've put together. Just a couple. I've got, you know, reams and reams of things that you can do, but just a few things here. Now, I find it quite difficult to say disconnect from tech because, you know, we're not able to see each other, we're not able to hug, we're not able to laugh. We're literally standing here having a relationship. I'm looking at a camera. So I don't want to say disconnect from tech completely, but if it is a distraction in your life, um, can you turn off your phone? Can you turn off devices? What impact is it having on your life? So explore that. And this is only if it's a problem or a challenge. Disable notifications, like the constant red badge. Like, are you? They're like you're like a homing pigeon. You're going towards them all the time. They ping on your phone. Constant notifications. I personally have to turn off um, my notifications or put my phone in another room, depending on what I'm doing. My phone is also my business, so I have to be mindful of how I use it. But for instance, like I'm in this session now, and I would normally make sure my notifications are switched off, or I've got the do not disturb on so that I don't get distracted by my phone um, pinging. And also, I have it on silent, so that's quite important for me. Um, so disable notifications, you can do that. Some people are aware of that, some people are not. There's a grayscale option. I don't know about Android phones, but for iPhones, you can turn your screen so that it's gray, because the very idea, the fact that your phone is so colorful means it just you act as it's like you're a magpie. You go to pick up all these messages and these, and you get drawn into the screen. So you can enable grayscale on your device. I know how to do it on iPhone, but I don't know how to do it on Android. So, you know, have a look at that. Can you grayscale your phone if tech is a problem for you? Do you need to delete apps? I've got one rule in, I've got a few WhatsApp groups, and I've got one rule that if my friends send me anything to do with TikTok, anything whatsoever, I do not click it. Don't touch it. Not interested. Don't care. And they say to me, "Oh, did you see that? Did you see that video I sent?" I said, "No, it's on TikTok. Didn't look at it." Why? Because I used TikTok once and I went down this thing. I was like rolling, rolling, rolling. Let me click on the next video, click on the next video. Now that might say something about my discipline, but I know where my discipline stops and starts. So I know that just to remove that temptation, I don't click on any link to do with TikTok. Personal, that, you know, but you know, find those things that work for you. Delete apps if you need to, delete your Instagrams or your Facebooks or whatever it is you need to do. You know, the world will still exist outside of apps. So just a few tips there. I've got a whole page of these if you want them. But just think about what you get distracted by. And not everybody is distracted by tech, but I just wanted to share these for instances for you. Um, be mindful. So this is, you know, Angelique can talk about being mindful, but you're also looking for a bit more balance with what's going on with what we talked about, the crazy. You know, in the US, there's a different world going on at the moment, but all around the globe, there's a different world going on than we're used to. So be mindful of what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. You know, we can behave like sheep sometimes. So, you know, just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean you need to be involved in it. So be mindful of the content you're consuming. Is it bringing you joy? Is it making you anxious? Is it making you worried? Is it making you fretful? Is it stopping you sleeping? Be mindful of that content. You don't have to read everything. Check your sources as well. Don't get involved in all those, you know, sometimes dreadful news. I was watching the news late. I was starting to watch the news late at night because I wanted to know, you know, after I'd finished my work, what I wanted to know what was going on, you know, with you know, pandemania, etc. But I realized that the closer I watched the news towards bedtime, then it just felt a bit unsettling, and I was going to bed like feeling quite sad. So just be mindful of what you're doing. Now I watch the news earlier in the day if I'm going to watch the news, and or I just check the headlines. I'm not consuming the news every day, all day. Your words are your decree. Be mindful of the words you use. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful how they come out of your mouth. You know, you're saying that you want one thing, but you're saying, oh, it's never going to work. I want to get, sorry, I'm not using you as I'm just using you as an example, not talking about you, the lady looking for a job. You know, I want to get a new job. Oh, I've been on so many interviews. This is never going to work. You know, just be mindful of the words and thoughts you use and try and keep them clean, keep them focused on what it is that you do want. Be mindful of the words, oh, this is going to end in disaster. If you say things like that, it probably is going to end in disaster. What about, I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful? What about, if you can't say those words, just keeping stum, keeping quiet? Don't go down that road of doom and gloom. So be mindful of the words you use. And when you're talking about yourself, I always say, mind your language, watch what you're saying about yourself to yourself. Be mindful of it. Start checking in on what comes out of your mouth, what the type of things that you say. And would you say those things to someone else that you're saying to yourself? Would you use those words to someone else that you're using on yourself? So just be mindful of your words and your behavior. Look it up. Your words are your decree. Um, what does that mean? You know, the words we utter them into being, we utter them into existence. So just be mindful of them. So, a bit more uplifting. So, what's your go-to thing? What makes you feel good? So, shout me out a few things that on the chat box. What's your go-to thing? What do you do to feel good or better? How much of that are you doing compared to not doing? How much dancing makes you feel good, but you're not dancing because you feel funny dancing on your own. You know, I like to sing, not me personally. How much of you are you not singing because you're stuck at home? You know, what's your go-to thing that you use to generally feel good or better about the world? Do more of it. Do more of it. So let's hear what's some of the things that you do. Let's put my glasses on. Going for long walks. Yeah, nature. Oh my goodness. I like that. I dance on my own anyway. Yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes my other half comes in the room and he looks at me and he's like, what on earth? Because in his world, you know, dancing is reserved for parties. But sometimes I like to dance. But sometimes, no, actually, no, sometimes he does random dancing as well. Photo developing, wonderful. Hiking in the woods or the mountains. You're so lucky, Romina, having woods and mountains nearby. Baking, not so good. Oh, cuddle my guinea pigs. Bless you. Animals, yeah, that connection. Yay, you've got that connection. Talk with interesting people, inspiring. Take care of my plants. Yeah. So you're I'm preaching to the converted here. You all have wonderful things. But just in case you aren't in this world, just think about the things that you love doing. Are you doing enough of them? You know, given our current circumstances, playing with your dogs, wonderful, reading, listening to music, you know, given our current circumstances, are you doing enough of it? Everyone's kind of struggling with where they are with their kind of mental health and well-being. So think about the things that you're doing. Are they helpful to you? Do they make you feel good generally? And I'm not saying that we need to go around in a happy clappy state of mind every day, but you know, try to do more of the things that make you feel good. Try to, you know, incorporate them a few times a day to help you feel better, feel good, feel better, feel great. That's my motto. Singing, dancing, laughing, just laughing for the sheer hell of it. You know, make people, you know, I don't mind if people think I'm a little bit off key, but you know, that's what I look for things to make me feel good. So look for the things that support happiness, joy, calm, laughter, self-love, emotional and physical well-being. So all the walking, the dancing, the reading, the reading things that make you feel good, whatever they are, even if they're kind of murder horror thrillers, you know, if they make you feel good, then knock yourself out. And look for the things that give you laughter. You know, we can't control what's happening at the moment, but we can control the action we take. And I always say that. And even if you wake up and you don't feel great, rather than stumbling through the day, continuing to feel terrible and saying, oh, I feel so terrible. That's an example of the words you use. Just say, I I feel a little bit unrested at the moment, but I'm going to look for something that helps me to feel better. You know, think about the words you use and how that impacts your own behavior and your own well-being. You know, good vibes. We're looking for good vibes. You know, in all of this life that we're choosing. And this is not just for now. It's not just for pandemic. This is a practice that we can all elevate throughout our lives and for the rest of our lives, looking for things that make us, help us, support us to feel good, feel better, feel great. And if I were to ask you, which of these do you prefer? Do you prefer to feel down, under the weather, grouchy, etc., or prefer to feel good? If I were to ask you which of these you prefer, I'm pretty sure all of you, most of you, would say, I want to feel good, I want to feel fabulous, I want to feel great. But yet we spend a lot of time doing things that actually don't help us to feel good or feel great. We spend a lot of time talking about how bad the pandemic is and how many people are dying. And did you see the news last night? You know, and then going into this kind of hole of talking about how dark everything is. And it happens, it's happening. If you need to talk about it, just do it for a second, do it for a minute, watch how long you're doing it for. You know, we can't run away from the world, but just be mindful of how you're saying it, what you're doing, and what effect it's having on you when you are talking about dark things. So just think about these small things. They all add up to help you feel better about yourself and the world. So I really do encourage you to love like the woman on the right, look like the woman on the right, you know, laughing, carefree, wonderful, you know, throwing her head back in happiness and laughter. So, you know, really think about the words you use and the effect it's having on you as you're going through life and current times and future times. Now we can't become better um, if we don't practice. Whatever you practice, you will become great at. Whatever that is, if it's being miserable, if you practice it enough times, you will become an expert. If it's being smiley, happy, balanced, you will become an expert. So, what do you want to become great at? What are you willing to commit to being good at or better at? The misery side of things or the dark side of things, or practice focusing on what it is that you want, keeping on that journey, that path of least resistance. And when you're tested, it's so easy to say, I failed, I fell down, I'm falling down. When you're tested, in fact, that's a really good time to be tested to see how good you are or how much better things can become for you. So I think the darkness and the challenges sometimes are really good tests for us. Not wishing that on anybody, but sometimes the terrible moments in our lives are really good tests to help us practice being great at doing better. So, I've had some terrible things happen. I'm sure all of us have. Terrible things happen in my life, but I've chosen to not continue being on that kind of miserable side and dark side, or this life is just so damn hard, life is so miserable. I've just got back on, I just restarted, got back on my horse and practiced feeling better about the world and myself. And that's why I'm here sharing some of the things that I do, because even though I'm sometimes tired or something happens, they last for short bursts of time, because that's not what I want. I look for things that help me to feel better about myself and the world. So I urge you to find things that you want to feel you want to be great at, practice, keep practicing. And when you're tested and you fall down, don't just say, I give up. Say, I'm going to restart and I'm going to continue and I'm going to commit. Just remember that as well. So I've shared with you the KIT method. So the knowing, and I shared the identity to identify tool, and I've given you some tools and techniques that you could use depending on your own circumstances. Happy for you to ask me questions as well about what else can be more specific for your challenge. And I've given you some ideas to take your first step. So for you, it was know, identify, and then find a tool, technique. And I'm going to give you a task. This is the last thing I'm going to give you. And then I'm going to go stop the recording and we can go into the Q&A. So as you step into 2021, what I ask of you is that you write down or diarize one thing that you're going to do this year. One thing that you're going to commit to this year. It could be a small thing, it could be to walk more, or it could be I'm going to travel when we can. And I want you to stay focused. So keep that in your diary so that it keeps coming up, cropping up time and time again. So that's my task for you. One thing that I want you to commit to that you will do this year. Just one thing, not many, just one. And what I'd also want for you to do is, if you're feeling brave enough, I'd love for you to update me. Here's my contact details. There's the QR code again. If you haven't done it already, grab your phone, snap it if you're on LinkedIn, that is. If you're not on LinkedIn, don't worry, it's fine. Grab your phone, snap it, get in touch, or take my email address down, and I want to hear what you do differently longer term to what I've asked you to commit to, or committing to something for yourself. I'm asking you to commit to something for me. I want you to commit to something for yourself. So one thing that you're prepared to do that you will commit to for 2021, so that you can step into 2021 either with an idea of what you're doing, or something, knowing where to start, or that you've got an idea of where you're heading for this year, so that you can make it the best you can be given what we're going through, but you're still living. So yeah, so I'd really love to hear what that is. So I'm going to stop the recording now, so we can all start taking our doodahs off, our doodahs, our we can unmute ourselves if we need to. So stop recording now.